Dozens of people hospitalized with carbon monoxide poisoning here in Sevier County. I'll tell you how they got it and the lengths emergency responders had to go to ensure people got the care they needed.
We're seeing our first storm of 2024. When will it hit and what will it bring? I'll let you know in the forecast.
Last year, we saw the girl who was all over the news. She had the first baby of the year, and it so happened that it was me this year.
Hear from one of the mothers of Utah's first babies of the new year about why he's her miracle baby.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. I'm Bob Evans. Our top story tonight is in Sevier County. Dozens of people were hospitalized yesterday and today after suffering carbon monoxide poisoning at church. Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser explains how rural Utah came together for this critical response.
Sunday's massive carbon monoxide poisoning is a cautionary tale of the threat that escalates every winter. 2 people died 2 months ago in Carbon County, but here in Sevier County, thankfully no one had to start off the new year by losing a loved one. The last day of 2023 was a scary one for the city of Monroe.
You don't want to believe something bad's happening. Everybody's like, oh, that's just, all coincidence.
It all started with a call from the East Chapel of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where a 4-year-old with breathing problems needed an ambulance. An hour later, an adult man was also feeling sick.
There's just a lot of pieces of the puzzle that all lead towards something's going on down there.
Members went home feeling lethargic and suffering headaches. Clint Wyrick knew he had to call dispatch.
I had a friend that just lost his best friend to carbon monoxide. And he, a month ago, was telling me all about it. Part of that was in the back of my head, like just make the phone call.
According to the LDS Church, 54 people in the building that day had symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. 49 had to go to the hospital, and 22 of them had to go outside the area for medical care. The county didn't have enough ambulances for the necessary number of transports, so nearby agencies stepped in to get people to hyperbaric chambers.
It's kind of cool living in a small town. Everybody's kind of looking out for each other.
The meeting house is closed for now as investigators look into the cause. According to the CDC, over 100,000 people across the U.S. visit the ER each year because of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Talk to other people when you don't feel good, because if there's a group of you all not feeling good at the same time, look at the evidence.
In a statement sent to Fox 13 News, the church says they're supporting medical and other expenses for those who were affected. A spokesperson also said they're, quote, taking this matter seriously and are concerned for the well-being of everyone involved. Reporting in Sevier County, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Authorities in Uinta County are looking into 2 separate but related incidents that left a mother and her son dead last night on New Year's Eve. Police in Naples, southeast of Vernal, responded to a nursing facility for what was described as a medical event, only to find 72-year-old Patricia Bingham dead from a gunshot wound. Meanwhile, firefighters in Vernal were called to a house fire and found 42-year-old Mark Ryan Bingham dead inside. Naples police tell Fox 13 News they have a, quote, strong belief that the 2 incidents are connected. Officers say a suspect has been identified and there is no threat to the public. Stay with Fox 13 News for the latest updates on this developing story. 1 adult and 2 children are dead after fire broke out at a house in Evanston. It happened Saturday at about 5:30 in the morning near Warland Circle near Sundance Avenue. Once on scene, crews saw heavy flames coming from outside the house.
By the time that they were able to knock down flames and safely enter the structure, they encountered 3 individuals, 1 adult and 2 juveniles who were deceased inside the residence.
It's troubling. I mean, my son taught the little boy how to ride a bike. It bothers him a little bit. It bothers me still.
The identities of the victims have not been released and the investigation continues. A bull rider is in the hospital after he was stomped on at a New Year's rodeo event in Ogden. It happened at the Golden Spike Arena last night. The Weber County Sheriff's Office says the victim was a man in his 40s. A medical crew on standby tended to the bull rider before paramedics took him to the hospital. We are told the bull rider is in stable condition tonight. Happening tomorrow, Salt Lake City will host the inauguration of the mayor and 4 city council members. Mayor Aaron Mendenhall, council members Alejandro Puy, Eva Lopez Chavez, Dan Dugan, and Sarah Young will all take the oath of office tomorrow at noon at the city's main library. All will serve a 4-year term, except District 7's Sarah Young. She will serve a 2-year term since the District 7 seat will go back on the ballot for a 4-year term in 2025. The event is open to the public, but keep in mind if you plan on driving downtown tomorrow, 200 East will be closed from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the inauguration. Ogden City's inauguration will also happen tomorrow at noon for Mayor-elect Ben Nadolski and incoming City Council members Dave Graff and Sean Myers. Mayor-elect Nadolski is expected to address the council for the first time and introduce his plan for his first 100 days in office. Not even an hour into 2024, and 2 babies were born at the exact same time and are believed to be the title of Utah's first baby of the new year. Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule has the story of one of the 2 new little Utahns.
It's my miracle baby.
Just 18 minutes after the fireworks went off and the new year rang in, Yasmin's miracle baby boy was born at Intermountain Medical Center in Murray.
Last year, we saw the girl who was all over the news. She had the first baby of the year. And my dad's like, watch you be the next. I was like, not a chance because I can't get pregnant. And it so happened that it was me this year.
As Yasmin looks at her son swaddled in footprints, she can't help but remember the many times she was told she would never experience having a child.
I was already having a video appointment or a Zoom appointment with an OBGYN because I was gonna see if I wanted to get more opinions to see if it was ever a possibility. And then I want to say within a week that I set up that appointment, I started feeling really sick. And playing around, I got a pregnancy test and it was positive. So I called crying. I was like, I think I need to change the Zoom appointment over to a person.
Yasmin's pregnancy was considered high risk and she had to have an early induction due to complications with the umbilical cord.
I stressed out. Like, is he not going to grow enough? Is he going to be stillbirth? How they had mentioned of it being one of the risk of the single artery umbilical cord. And so I really couldn't enjoy my pregnancy.
But the 7-pound, 8-ounce bundle of joy she's holding now,
it's kind of curly, wavy, so
was worth it all.
I'm excited for a lot of things, just being able to have someone that I thought I wasn't going to have. Making his own mistakes, making us mad once in a while.
Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Now, the other baby born at 12:18 a.m. in Utah was little Myra, born at St. Mark's Hospital to Mother Artie and Father Fiaz of South Salt Lake. Here's a look at some of the other first Utah babies of the new year. Holy Cross Hospital in Layton welcomed the first baby at 1:55 a.m. Baby girl Briggs arrived early at about 31 weeks and is in the NICU right now, but is said to be doing otherwise just fine. University of Utah says their first baby was born at 2:39 a.m. They didn't share the baby or parents' names, but did say he and his mother are fine. And what a wonderful way to welcome in the new year with new life right here in Utah. Breck?
Well, we like to get a resurgence of new life in the weather department here in that we need a storm to clear out this bad air. Happy New Year's, everyone. As it was a nice day above the haze here across northern Utah. Highlighted that with a photo coming up on our Facebook page. This is, as you can see, Johnny, Deer Creek Reservoir. That water's so calm. A little ice on the edges, but again, with these warmer temperatures, especially in the higher elevations, we haven't seen several of those kind of mid-elevation lakes really freeze over yet. As we had clear conditions, but here along the valley floors, it's been anything but clear. Right now, as we take a look from our Natural History Museum camera looking west across the Salt Lake Valley, again, well-defined layer of haze. Air quality has been decreasing each and every day. As we take a look from our Fox 13 Air View powered by TELUS, let's connect to those sensors right now as we look across extreme northern Utah, Cache Valley. You're in the yellow, even orange, pushing through Brigham City, Davis County, yellow to orange, so moderate to unhealthy, and especially as we look across the Salt Lake Valley, a lot of orange, even some spots where there's some red, unhealthy for everybody. We got to get the storm to bring in and scour out this bad air. We see a storm on the way. When does it arrive, and do we see more snow from this next storm? I'll let you know coming up.
Thanks, Breck. Also coming up, the Powerball jackpot is soaring once again. It's close to $1 billion, and the winning numbers just came in. We'll share them with you.
Can the Utah Jazz start the new year with a win? They'll go for their fourth straight win at home tonight against the Mavericks. I'll have the highlights coming up.
Number one in the league in fewest turnovers.
Utah Highway Patrol troopers spent this holiday weekend trying to get drunk drivers off the road. Here are the results of their DUI blitz. Troopers made 9 DUI arrests on Friday, 13 on Saturday, 16 yesterday, and 28 so far today as people drive home from their New Year's celebrations. Some Utahns headed across the border to start the new year with the hope of striking it rich. The Powerball jackpot grew to an estimated $810 million ahead of tonight's drawing. USAMega.com says the one-time cash payment is $408.9 million, while the annuity you would net would be $27 million per year for 30 years. And here is a look at the winning numbers. They just came in. They are 12, 21, 42, 44, and 49 with the Powerball number 1. Again, those numbers, 12, 21, 42, 44, and 49 with the Powerball 1. Of course, we will keep an eye out to see if anybody comes forward claiming the prize. $810 million is what the jackpot is right now. The Iron County Search and Rescue Team is preparing for icy rescues. Saturday, they invited volunteers to attend the training at Forebay Pond in Parowan Canyon. They practiced the rope bag throw from shore using a shovel or stick for the person to grab and pull them back, and having a rescuer get in the water with a pad to keep everyone afloat. It's not as cold this season as it was last year, so if you are venturing out onto the ice, don't get on the ice unless it is at least 4 inches thick. And remember, thickness varies. It could be thinner in certain spots. And so be sure to be careful that way, and be sure to dress warmly in plenty of layers. I'll tell you what, our concern right now, though, is just being able to breathe the air, let alone how cold it is.
Absolutely, especially here along the valley floors. You get up in elevation, it's really quite nice, and even warm, mild temperatures. As this high pressure has been in place, that's the reason why we haven't seen the storms. Trying to get a series of storms, one to break down the high pressure, bring in some precipitation and some winds to mix out this bad air. Boy, it was a foggy start in some locations here across northern Utah. Sharing a video, drone footage here from Scott Taylor and Magna, where you can see at the surface we had that thick fog. You move up a few meters though, you're clearing out. You look above, you got the blue sky, and we burned off this fog, but the haze remained throughout the afternoon. We could see the redevelopment of some patchy fog here in the overnight hours. We take a look at visibility here across northern Utah. Logan, you're okay. You push up though in southern Idaho from Preston Preston, making your move through Malad and northward. Definitely seeing some limited visibility there. Not so bad right now here across the Salt Lake Valley as we get to near some of these bodies of water like the Great Salt Lake. Even as we looked at Bear Lake, that's definitely some areas where, again, in the overnight hours, we can see that development of fog. Ogden Valley also dealing with some fog here throughout the morning hours. Temperatures above average once again here, but again with the inversion in place, suppressing some of those temperatures where if we didn't have the inversion, we'd be back into the 50s. But today we experienced 40s here along the Wasatch Front. Near 50 degrees though for your high in Milford, topping off at 48 degrees in Cedar City, 42 in Moab. Some cold air still trapped in Vernal. Your high today, 37 degrees. Now as we look outside right now, again highlighting the haze, we've got those temperatures currently in the 30s, even in the 20s at this hour in Provo. It'll be a chilly night. Again, as we're clear above, the haze hanging around where we don't have any storms in the short term, but long term, and not too far long off, we do see a couple of storms, with the first one coming in through Wednesday through Thursday. This will have a bigger impact across central and southern Utah, but we do see some showers here for northern Utah. Weak storm, but it begins to break down the high pressure, thus welcoming in a bigger storm for the weekend. Thus, air quality really looks to improve as we look towards Saturday and Sunday. That storm on the weekend bringing snowfall for the valleys and mountains, and we're going to see a big temperature drop. Looking ahead from the Climate Prediction Center, 6 to 10 days out, looking at below average temperatures as we're going to see temperatures only reaching the 20s looking towards next week on Monday. Very chilly. So we're going to see the flow turning more northwesterly, even northerly, and that's going to bring another storm, which brings precipitation here across the state. Good news is that we're looking at above precipitation here throughout most of the state, central, southern, eastern Utah, but even portions of northern Utah getting its fair share. This is a good situation. We're changing the storm track as we're not going to see the storm splitting here going around the state, but we get more of a direct hit as we look ahead. Now taking a look at our satellite radar. Clear skies here throughout the state, southeastern Utah, a few clouds. There's our next storm system. This one's kind of weak, but we'll see a better chance of some showers across central and southern Utah. Let's take a look at the computer models. Starting it off tomorrow night, as you can see, clouds pushing through. That's a kind of a wave of a warm front, but the precipitation lagging behind. Central, southern Utah initially starting off, but Wednesday afternoon into the evening, we start to see some showers, and it's snow here across northern Utah. The brunt of that storm, though, hitting southern Utah, and then we welcome in that weekend storm. So as we take a look for tonight, temperatures getting down to the mid-20s, mostly clear, but the haze hanging around. Hazy skies for tomorrow. Temperatures above average, many spots in the 40s, mid to upper 40s for central Utah, and 50s for St. George. You've got rain, though, hitting on Wednesday. Thursday drying out, more showers, even a mixture of snow on Sunday. Look at your temperatures next week. Highs only in the 30s, northern Utah. That weak storm on Thursday, then we get a little bit of a break, but for Saturday and Sunday, it's snowy. We're going to see valley and mountain snow. Models indicating 1 foot to 1.5 foot snow for the mountains into Monday morning, as we'll bring in the chill, temperatures down into the 20s. So that will clear out the air, but we've got to bring the snow and the cold to do it.
Thanks, Breck. Japan is reeling after a deadly 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck a western peninsula. Details of what happened next. At least 6 people are dead after a 7.6 magnitude earthquake, and that is an updated figure. That 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck western Japan today. Dozens of aftershocks continue to rattle the region. 1,000 Japanese Self-Defense Forces personnel are on the job. 8,500 more are on standby, helping to search, rescue, and clean up from the quake. Emily Schmidt has more on the work now underway.
On a day the calendar turned to a new year, Western Japan felt the earth move with it. This woman said, "My city is in a terrible situation with fears things could get worse." The earthquake had a depth of about 6 miles, triggering tsunami warnings along the west coast. Eventually, the warnings were canceled as the threat of larger waves passed, though advisories continued for Western Japan, a region unaccustomed to this level of disruption.
People there have felt earthquakes probably over the years, but this is, to my knowledge, the biggest earthquake by far, so people don't have experience with an earthquake this size.
Cameras captured what it looked like, felt like, as the 7.5 magnitude earthquake hit around 4 in the afternoon on a holiday. How people ducked for cover and couldn't quite believe their eyes in the moment. Next challenge, assessing the damage. At least 33,000 homes without power. About 1,400 passengers stranded on bullet trains brought to a standstill. All while roads are damaged, buildings collapsed. U.S. President Joe Biden said in a statement, the U.S. stands ready to provide any necessary assistance to Japan and to its people who have weathered more than 30 aftershocks, with more likely.
I would be concerned about it having significant aftershocks over the coming months or even another year.
A year of potential reminders of what happened this first day of January. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
The recent case involving an exchange student from Riverdale has local law enforcement experts saying every family needs to have a plan for this kind of thing. I'm Amy Nay, and I'll have more on that story coming up.
Some new laws go into effect today across Utah. What you need to know coming up next.
College football playoff semifinals of the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. I'll tell you who's advancing coming up.
New video from Riverdale police shows the moment a 17-year-old foreign exchange student from China was found over the weekend. Police say he and his parents are the victims of what's called cyber kidnapping. Fox 13 News anchor Amy Nay spoke to a law enforcement expert who has a warning for families.
Just understand that this is happening.
And retired Deputy Police Chief Chris Bertram says in a more sophisticated way than ever before, like in Riverdale, where a foreign exchange student was caught in a cyber kidnapping case.
And if something like this happens, people tend to, the first thing is crisis and panic, and we have to take a step back. And one of the things that I recommend doing is talking to somebody trusted about it.
Working as a consultant and private investigator, he says that can be a friend or an advocate, an attorney, or someone you know in law enforcement.
I have clients over the last 7 years that have been the victim of exploitation. You're in that panic mode, you're in that crisis mode, and you immediately want to try to fix it, which in most cases means money.
Adding that usually starts with a reasonable amount. The cyber criminals do their homework on how much the victims can afford, but it won't stop here.
They'll get some money, and then they come back to the table for more and more and more. And with the clients that I've had, normally it gets to the point where they see it as unsustainable and they have to do something. Whereas the first time, had they sought advice, had they reached out to local law enforcement or the FBI or a trusted friend that could get them to those people, they wouldn't have paid anything. They would have put it in context and then started the process to make sure everybody was safe.
In recent months, the FBI put out a warning about cyber kidnapping and said only with new technologies that threat gets worse. Chris says it's come to the point where it's so prevalent, every family should have a plan.
We talk about if there's a fire in the house, or if there's an earthquake in the house, or if there's something else, where do we meet? If something like this happens, stop for a second. Let's reach out. Who is that trusted person that we could talk to? Yeah, it is troubling, and especially with the fact that whoever did this, the cyber kidnappers, were successful.
Riverdale police say getting the 17-year-old Chinese national's family to transfer some $80,000 to an account, and he believes this case may now be the cause for further discussion across the board.
And make sure that we understand that this is now something that is, I hate to say, maybe a soup of the day crime, that is becoming more popular.
Saying this young man was lucky he was discovered by police when he was, spending at least 2 days in the cold conditions holed up in a tent in the mountains in Box Elder County before the elements caused more serious repercussions.
A sergeant's out there on foot hiking through, the mountains, looking for this kid. Tells you that there was some good old-fashioned police work going on, I believe, at the federal level, the FBI, and at the local level.
But again, to all of us, Chris says, talk to your family about reaching out if something like this does happen and know there's help available.
And if they just ask for a little help, man, there are so many resources out there to help them.
Reporting in Salt Lake, Amy Nay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A man was taken into custody on Riverdale Road in Roy last night after police say he rammed his vehicle into 2 patrol cars. They say the driver took off, leading to a chase through Roy and Riverdale. During the chase, when the driver rammed into the patrol cars, police opened fire on the vehicle. Both the officers and the suspect suffered minor injuries. The incident is now being investigated by the Weber County Attorney's Office. From electric vehicles to online dating and children's medical and dental coverage, several new laws went into effect in Utah today. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has the story from Utah's Capitol Hill.
Before you swipe right or even use a dating site in Utah, you'll get a warning.
What people are going to see here in Utah is when they log on to a dating app or a dating website, a picture will pop up letting them know whether a background check is done or whether a background check isn't done. And just safety reminders.
House Minority Leader Angela Romero's new law is designed to warn people about things like catfishing, consent, as well as offer resources to victims of sexual assault and violence. She's using these apps and websites to get the word out.
This is just a start to a larger problem when we're talking about sexual assault and domestic violence.
Representative Romero is planning more legislation allowing prosecutors to charge someone who doesn't obtain what's called affirmative consent in an intimate situation.
The bar is so high when it comes to sexual assault and rape that it would be a second-degree felony. And so hopefully it would give prosecutors another tool to use, not saying all prosecutors will use it, to criminally prosecute somebody who's out there sexually assaulting women.
Other laws going into effect: electric vehicles will now have to pay a tax at charging stations. Right now, vehicles that run on fossil fuels pay a gas tax that goes toward road repairs. EVs don't. So lawmakers designed the 12.5% charge on public EV charging stations to make things more equitable. Speaking of cars, some vintage collector cars may be exempt from motor vehicle emissions inspections, especially if they don't get driven a lot. There's also an expansion of the child tax credit, helping Utah families in need. The governor has also proposed his own expansion of that in 2024. And a new state program is launching, expanding children's health insurance coverage to more of the most vulnerable. Advocates for children in need across the state are urging people to sign up now.
We have one of the highest rates of uninsured children per capita in the country. And this is a big step forward to addressing that.
The program offers medical and dental coverage for thousands of Utah's most needy children, including immigrants. It passed the legislature with bipartisan support. It's believed that offering more preventative coverage will keep families from having to go to the ER to get help, saving money on charity care.
The root cause of a lot of these problems, it's because care wasn't given at an early age, especially preventative care. And one thing I do want to point out is the dental side is so important, especially for young children. A vast majority of our absences from schools are dental related.
On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We have links to resources for families to sign up for the expanded Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP, at fox13now.com. Hey, look, Mom, no hands. A state lawmaker wants to decriminalize riding your bicycle without your hands on the handlebars. You heard that right. Under Utah law, you have to have at least one hand on a handlebar, Breck. Morgan Representative Kara Birkeland says she got the idea to repeal it from a local scout troop.
You are riding a bike and keep control of your bike with no hands on it, you'll be allowed to do it. I think it's ridiculous that we have bills and laws on the books that are never going to be enforced. Like, what officer is going to pull over anyone who's just riding down the road without their hands on their handlebars? As long as they're in control of their bicycle, who cares?
Breck actually served time in prison for this, didn't you?
Just a fine.
I thought you were in there for like 2 to 3 years or something. Representative Birkeland says that's the key part, being safely in control of the bicycle, just like Breck always is. Her bill will be considered in the upcoming legislative session.
Utah is more prosperous and in a better place environmentally compared to last year. But we don't feel that way. I'll show you the numbers.
We're not feeling good about the haze that's in the valleys. Want to share a photo, though, coming up on our Facebook page. Battle Creek Canyon, just east of Pleasant Grove. You can see the inversion off in the distance. We always say to break free from the inversion, head for the hills, but those hills are lacking in snow. There's more snow on the way. I'll tell you when, after the break. You know, one way to look at the year we just finished is in numbers.
that measure what we have in terms of water, our wallets, and the way we feel. Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth takes an in-depth look tonight at the difference between how we're doing and how we feel like we're doing.
2023 was a good year in Utah, according to a whole lot of indicators. But is that how we Utahns feel? Well, we asked that question with a look at some of the numbers we like to check on a regular basis. These are the indicators we'll go through, and you can guess with each whether things got better, worse, or they stayed the same in the past year in Utah. With water, the Great Salt Lake is up 3.5 feet. That's the height of an emperor penguin, the largest of the species. Lake Powell is 44 feet higher year to year. That's about 12 emperor penguins standing on each other's shoulders. Let's go shopping. Inflation slowed by more than half in Utah. In November of 2022, products cost 7% more on average from the year before. Now, this past November 2023, prices were up just over 3% from the year before. And Utahns are making more money on average. Wage information is not in for the latest months, but from March of 22 to March of 23, wages were up 10% in Davis County, 9% in Weber, 7.5% in Salt Lake, and 7% in Utah and Washington counties. A lot of positives, but we're not feeling that much better. The U.S. Census asks some simple questions several times a year to households with children. Do you have enough of the kinds of food your family wants? 53% answered with a simple yes, the same number from 2022 to 2023. That means 47% said they, to some degree, struggled to pay for food. Now they ask, how frequently do you feel nervous, anxious, or on edge year to year? 1/3 of Utahns said anxiety wasn't a problem for them at all. A similar story for depression, though it's about half of Utahns reporting they don't feel depression on any kind of regular basis. But among those feeling depressed, well, those feeling that way every single day went from 9% to 13% year to year. That's true with depression and anxiety. While the number of people reporting such feelings is similar, there was an uptick in those who feel that way frequently. In the studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, nothing says fresh start like a polar plunge, at least for these folks in Tooele County. Why they say they've made a tradition out of this icy event.
It was a Rose Bowl Classic with Michigan and Alabama battling in the college football playoff semifinals, and a historic night for Jordan Clarkson and the Jazz. They took it to the Mavericks. The highlights are on the way.
Some people started the new year with a family brunch or maybe watching their favorite football team. Others spent the morning on a hike at the Great Salt Lake Park. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people across the country participate in the First Hike, a tradition started by the state parks system to encourage outdoor activity all year long. This morning, dozens of Utahns took part in the tradition by going on a bird-watching morning stroll. Those who braved the morning cold and fog got to explore the Great Salt Lake State Park and watch the birds through the fog.
How many times can you say, this is the first day of the year, I'm going to go out and explore?
Not many times you can say that, just once a year. If you missed out on this morning's event, don't worry, there will be more events throughout the year. You can find information on those at stateparks.utah.gov. Well, it may be above freezing outside. It is above freezing right now, isn't it? You can answer out loud.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks.
Except in Provo.
Okay. It was 42 degrees earlier today, and that's still plenty cold for the polar plunge. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph takes us to Stansbury Park, where folks kicked off the new year with the icy tradition.
It is warm today.
I've lived in Utah forever, and it's like, what, 30, 40, 50, 60 degrees today? It's nice. Jump into the new year freezing? I don't know.
My name is Darren Arnell, and this is the Stansbury Icebreaker, formerly known as the Polar Bear Plunge. This is the 11th plunge that we've had out here in Stansbury, and this started back when I first moved here. I'd done it 3 times in Chicago. We did it out of stupidity and thought we should do this for a good cause, and so the whole thing came together to raise money, food, and monetary donations for the homeless in Tooele County, and this year it will go to the Tooele Community Resource Center.
We're always eager to jump in and help each other out.
Literally jump in.
Literally jump in and help each other out. Firefighter Kolovich, this is his 5th year in the water. So he likes being cold, apparently.
If you are planning on getting in the water.
Okay, so it's super duper slick when you're coming out. All right, so we gotta be. You're okay. Watch your step.
Nope, still warm. It is warm today.
How warm is it now?
It's still warm. It ain't warm no more.
We're missing snow. We do still have the ice, and still a fun time.
I have never done this before. I've done it.
You've done it?
It's pretty fun. It was amazing. Still very cold. Yes.
Yeah, I did it last year with my kid, and honestly, I think once was enough. Down they go. We see a lot of Disney princesses like go in the water. I know, I told them.
It was great. The cold doesn't bother me anyway.
We see a lot of Macho Man Randy Savage.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
That 3 Macho Man. Yeah, we've had 1 dog this year. I think that was a first. Have we ever seen a dog before? There you go, you're okay.
Mind over matter. So
she's like, nope, I'm out. I'm done.
Do you think you have to be a little bit crazy to do this?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's got to be a little crazy in everybody to do this.
Yeah, you don't have to be crazy to do that, but it sure helps.
It does.
And you did it last year, didn't you?
Well, it was New Year's Eve. It was in St. George, a lake in St. George. It was cold.
Get out of
but
here.
We didn't have to break through ice, so semi.
How cold was it really down there?
Water temperature was low 50s.
Oh, my heart bleeds for you.
I do it in steps. Maybe next year we'll do the full polar plunge.
All right.
I mentioned, though, weather-wise here, looking ahead, we've got our own little plunge in temperature. I wouldn't say polar plunge, but we're definitely going to see some colder temperatures.
And we're going to get some precipitation.
And we're going to get some much needed snow. It's been a while here across northern Utah, but these storms are actually going to be impacting us statewide, bringing statewide precipitation. We've got 3 storms to be looking at. Outside right now, though, all it is just haze in Salt Lake City. Current temperature 30 degrees above the haze. It is clear as we'll be looking at mostly clear conditions. As I mentioned, air quality wise, really have been just each and every day decreasing in air quality. We're in the orange, even in some spots here across the Salt Lake Valley, moving into that red category. That's unhealthy for everybody. No big changes for tomorrow. Start to see some changes on Wednesday as we bring in our first storm. Now, the first storm is going to have a bigger impact for central and southern Utah. Yes, St. George, you've got rain in your forecast on Wednesday. Then a little bit of a break. For the weekend, we have another storm pushing through. Looks like late Saturday afternoon through Sunday morning. This one will bring a mixture of rain and snow for St. George. You have some cold temperatures with that second storm coming in from the north. We're going to see that big drop looking towards next week. Love to see this here across northern Utah. Has not been active as we look at this chart here. Several days where we're looking at above average precipitation, scattered showers in effect, where the Wednesday, Thursday storm kind of weak for northern Utah, but we'll see a little bit of snow. Better chance of seeing that snow with valley and mountain snow accumulations, especially as we look towards the weekend. Some models saying between 1 foot to 1.5 feet of snow for the mountains here. Good news for the ski resorts. Like to get more, but thereafter we do see more storms kind of rolling through as we turn more to a storm cycle as we look at that second week. Now, satellite radar, it's clear across the state, except southeastern Utah still holding on to a few clouds. We're seeing signs of our next storm as it makes its push. Now, the high pressure that's been in place has been splitting the storms apart. This one starts to dig southward, tries to split up. We'll get a little bit of a split there, at least for central and southern Utah. It has more of a direct hit. And for northern Utah, we get those showers with kind of some wraparound colder air moving through, coming with a northerly flow heading into Thursday. Tomorrow we don't see the storm impact. Again, we're just seeing the haze in place. Partly cloudy skies above that, though. We'll be looking at temperatures starting off in the 20s, so a chilly start as we look towards your Tuesday morning. As we look for tomorrow, though, highs very similar to what we found today. It's low to mid 40s here along the Wasatch Front, mid 30s in Logan, as well as 30s in Vernal. Other locations in central and southern Utah, maybe a couple degrees cooler, but you're enjoying the sunshine, especially as you look from Cedar City to St. George. It's clear, it's sunny, and 50s. Then we start to see the rain on Wednesday for St. George. Moving through Thursday and Friday, we're clearing out, but it's going to be colder, upper 40s there. Then the second storm coming through as we're looking on Sunday, a mixture of some rain and snow with temperatures only in the 30s on Monday. So big swing in temperatures. You've been enjoying the 50s for the last several days. Here we go back to winter. Northern Utah, the haze. Then we get that little bit of snow on Thursday, bigger snow Saturday and Sunday, even lingering snow showers on Monday, but highs only in the 20s as we look towards next week.
The Utah Jazz looking to start the new year with the win against the Dallas Mavericks. They went into the game playing well, 3 straight wins at home while winning 7 of their last 10 games. Jazz shared the basketball, 37 assists tonight. Chris Dunn to Simone Fontecchio, 3 is good. He scored 14 points in the first quarter. They almost threw it away here, but Jordan Clarkson got it, throws it up for Walker Kessler. He had 11 points, 10 rebounds. Then watch Clarkson follow the miss. Times it right and throws it down. The Jazz led it by 11 after the first quarter. Here comes more JC, gets the steal, then check out the pass. Behind his back to Dunn for the throwdown. Here's another look at it. Clarkson, the no-look pass. And I love the reaction from Dunn afterward. He's like, yeah, thanks, man. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, that's how you did it. Here's another good assist. Kelly Olynyk to John Collins. Throws down 2 of his 15 points. Jazz up 7 at the half. Third quarter done. Another good look inside to Lauri Markkanen. He rocks the rim. Then it's Clarkson. Another behind his back no-looker to Markkanen for 3. He finished with 17 points. The Jazz were up 14 going into the fourth, and they pulled away. Fontecchio, he led the Jazz with 24 points. And then how about this play from Olynyk? Drives in and powers it home. The Jazz were up 26. Here's Clarkson's 11th assist to Keontae George. 3 is good, plus the foul, 4-point play. He had 14 points. The only question was, would Clarkson get a triple-double? 1 rebound away, and there it is. JC a triple-double, 20 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. The first Jazz regular season triple-double since Carlos Boozer in 2008. A big win for the Jazz, 127-90 over the Mavericks. College football playoffs, number 1 seed Michigan, 4th seed Alabama in the Rose Bowl. J.J. McClellan, touchdown run to put Crimson Tide up 17-13 early in the fourth quarter. The Wolverines answered late in the fourth. J.J. McCarthy to Roman Wilson. He scores. That tied the score at 20. It's into the game into overtime. Michigan got it first at OT. Blake Corum finds some room to run and spins in. 17-yard touchdown. The Wolverines were up 7. Alabama needed a touchdown to match, but Michigan's defense made the stop on 4th down. Michigan won it 27-20 in overtime to advance to the national championship game. So who will they play? Well, right now, Washington leads Texas 34-21 in the fourth quarter of the Sugar Bowl. The winner of that game plays Michigan in the national championship.
So between those 2 bowl games and the Jazz winning tonight, I was just talking with a friend yesterday about the Jazz. Wow, they've really come alive. They've really come alive.
2024.
Boy, way to go.
Jordan Clarkson with a triple-double. Well done.
You see that?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. We'll be right back. Well, how did the final weekend of 2023 pan out for some of the big movies in theaters? David Daniel has early estimates on the top 5 films at the box office.
Let's just tell everyone we're together.
What? The rom-com Anyone But You made $9 million to stay in 5th place. The Color Purple, based on the Broadway musical, debuted number 4 with $13 million. Migration flew up to 3rd place on ticket sales of $17.2 million. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom sank to 2nd place despite swimming off with $19.5 million. Wonka returned to the top spot with a sweet weekend tally of $24 million, putting its domestic total at $142 million. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We binge-watched Pirates of the Caribbean this week.
Oh, that's fun.
There you go. So funny. Hey, thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9. Quickcast is up next. Stay with us.